For some people, a lot of people, an Oscar fish may not be the right choice for you. But for a very special select few, getting an Oscar fish will probably be the best choice you will ever make in your fish keeping journey. Are you that person? We're going to find out right now. We're just going to be covering over whether an Oscar fish is the right fish for you, whether you're starting out in the hobby, this is your first fish because the Oscars have, got your attention, or maybe you've been in a hobby and you've never thought, you've always wanted the small fish. I think maybe you're cheating yourself by only staying with small fish and never experiencing a big fish. This is not an Oscar fish care guide. This is just going over some very particulars that a care guide may not give you. I have actually came across some scenarios where Oscar fish actually, even though I advise not to get these fish for your very first fish, they did it anyway. And to my surprise, I was wrong. Very first question people ask, are Oscars hard to care for? The rules apply in keeping Oscars as they do keeping guppies, as they do keeping betas. The only thing is that there's certain details that have to be addressed. Just like there's certain details that have to be addressed when you're keeping guppies versus keeping betas, keeping angelfish versus keeping gouramis, goldfish versus keeping coolie loaches. You see what I'm saying? The rules remain the same. It's just a couple of details that have to be addressed. We're going to go over tank size. We're going to go over growth rate. We're going to go over tank mates because all those things need to be addressed, but we're going to go over them a little bit later in the video. Right now, I want to talk to you specifically about filtration for the Oscar fish. Get a second filter. Realistically, most of us, every one of us, put fish in there. We're overstocked the aquarium. We put way more fish than that filter can handle. This fact is doubly more important, or this fact is doubly more true. I don't even know if what I just said was a factual statement. This fact is doubly more true. Funk don't do English good for the Oscar fish. Not because the Oscar fish puts out more dirtier doo-doo than other fish. I mean, doo-doo is doo-doo regardless of what type of fish it is. It's not like, it proportionately the Oscar fish puts out more doo-doo. That's just ridiculous. We feed the fish more, right? We feed the fish more because we like to feed the fish more. So yeah, it does doo-doo more because we feed them more. Yeah, you want to get double, triple the amount of filtration than what's recommended for the particular size aquarium that you have. That's my particular advice. You can go with whatever filtration is designated for the size aquarium you have, but get ready to do a lot more water changes and get ready to not feed as much. It's just, trust me, you want to double up, triple up even on the filtration. It's just less of a headache for you. Stop blaming the poor old Oscar fish for laying big old monster deuces. That's doo-doo shaming right there. That's just wrong. So one of the reasons why the Oscar fish has been in the aquarium hobby for so long is its personality, right? The Oscar fish is a true wet pet. Water puppy is what they call it. If you keep a single Oscar, one Oscar by itself will truly have a very outgoing, almost dog-like personality. I find that a lot of people, especially first-timers, especially dog lovers, who literally will have a strong emotional bond with their pets, will get an Oscar. And this is where I said first timers will kind of flip the script on the rule where Oscars are terrible first time pets. This is what happens. Somebody will come in to any LFS, whatever, and they'll say, I want an Oscar, it's so cute. And they're like, you ever had an aquarium before? No, but I'll learn what it needs to be, and the associate be like, no, don't do it. They do it anyway. Well, it just so happens that particular person, their personality, they have a real strong emotional bond to animals that have give and take relationships, right? They fall in love with this animal. They learn about the animal. They want to do more. They want to do more. They develop feelings. Like, not just like I like fish too, but I don't develop feelings for my fish. I don't. I know it sounds terrible to me. Shame on you, Aquafunk. You're a terrible fish person. I just don't. I like it more for the observation, the science of fish. But some people, they will cry when their fish die. They that's just how they are. They love their animals so much that they do all the learning, and they find joy in doing better for their fish. They find joy in saving money and getting that bigger tank. They find joy in getting that bigger filter. They find joy in getting the better food. They find joy in doing the regular water changes because they really do love that animal as if it was a true wet pet. That's why I say for some people, getting an Oscar is the best idea they could ever have. Now, as far as adding other fish, whether it be other Oscars or other fish with the Oscar, the problem comes where if you put other fish in with your Oscar, well, that Oscar doesn't need you for their entertainment, their emotional bond. They have other fish to interact with, so they act more like regular fish instead of that pet, that one-on-one interaction that they have, that you have with them. So a lot of times people will have a pet Oscar and then they add fish to it, and then the fish kind of reverts to regular old fish. There are a lot of fish you can put with Oscars, but just keep in mind, if you're getting an Oscar and you love that one-on-one interaction, you're going to totally ruin it by putting other fish in there. So keep that in mind. Nobody really mentions that. You add tank mates to your wet pet, they don't really care about you as much after that. Okay, so I can't talk about Oscar fish tank size without talking about Oscar fish growth rate. They kind of go hand in hand. Oscar fish grow under good conditions, ideal conditions. You take the fish home, you're taking great care of it, they will grow an inch a month up until about 10 months. Then they start slowing down. What people do is they'll have a small aquarium and they go to the LFS and they'll see the Oscar fish in a 20-gallon and they go, oh, it's this big. I could put it in a 20-gallon. Can you do it? Of course you can. It's this freaking big when you bought it from the pet store. But when you take the proper care of it from watching this channel and learning how to take proper care of your fish, it's going to grow because you're taking such good care of it because we've been talking about it, and you're going to need a bigger aquarium. Don't make the mistake of getting the next size aquarium. Just go ahead and get a big old aquarium. All right. What size aquarium should you get? Well, I already talked about doing a one-on-one Oscar fish. So I'm just going to go over what size aquarium I think you should get for one Oscar fish. So now let's talk about how big the Oscar fish is going to get, because that's going to determine what size aquarium you need. If you look online, you'll see this, it'll say Oscar fish grow from 10 to 12 inches. And for the longest, I said the same thing because I would only see Oscar fish grow to 10 or 12 inches. I've never had an Oscar fish grow past 10 inches. That's because the two Oscar fish that I've had I actually had a bunch of Oscar fish at one time, but I had to move, and before they got big enough. But two Oscar fish that I had for a long period of time, they grew up to 10 inches and they busted out the tank. Different times, it's just, they're very difficult to, that's one other thing I should have added in there. Make sure you have some type of strong lid mechanism, because everybody's Oscar fish, if they die, if they don't die because somebody messes up the water, they die because they jump out of the tank. Those are the two reasons why Oscar fish die. Well, three. One, they get beat up by another fish. One is because somebody messed up on their water parameters and the ammonia killed them. And the other one is because they jumped out of the tank in the middle of the night. Every Oscar fish I've ever had has killed itself at about 10 inches. So I've always went with the 10 or 12 inch thing, that's how big they get. But I gotta be 100% honest with you. I recently was watching a video, predatory fins, and he was doing some rescue, and they had an Oscar fish next to a tinfoil barb, and they said, how big is that tinfoil barb? And the guy said, it's a good 18, 20 inches. The Oscar fish was damn near as big as the tinfoil barb. So that means, how big do Oscar fish really get? I've been seeing a lot of pictures of Oscar fish and people petting Oscar fishes, and I'm like, that looks like it's a lot bigger than 10 or 12 inches. So while on paper it says 10 to 12 inches, I'm going to say I've seen images of them bigger. I used to say because they are 10 to 12 inches, a 75-gallon will do. I used to say I've seen Oscar fish in 55 gallons and a 10 to 12 inches. I would not, raise a fuss. I would be like, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to chastise anybody about it. But I got to admit, if you have an Oscar fish, I would say the very smallest, don't put an Oscar in less than a 75. Ideally, you want a 125. Ideally. And I think if you're that type of person that sees your Oscar as a wet pet, it's my pet, I named him, I love him, I want to hug him, and I pet him and all that, you'll want to do that anyway, right? If you're that type of person that has a whole entire room dedicated to a cat, or you have a dog and it has insurance, you're probably that type of person that's going to want to have a 125 for your Oscar fish. I got insurance for I didn't get insurance for my dog. Might have got insurance for the dogs, but you know what I'm talking about. If you care that much for your animals, you'll probably want to do that anyway. So I'm not going to chastise and go over too much, tell people how horrible they are about the size of their aquarium, because I believe that if you watch my channel, that you'll be so happy with your fish. From all the stuff that you've learned and all the success that you're having, that you'll want to do these things, right? I'm not gonna try and guilt you into nothing. I'm gonna try and help you be successful so that you feel comfortable and happy shelling out that dough. I gotta circle back around to feeding Oscar fish. There's two camps. There's two main things about feeding I have to go over. One is, what is the best food to feed your Oscar fish? I'm gonna be honest with you. You want to feed them something you can afford to buy a lot of. Hikari is a very stable, well-established brand that won't really hurt your pockets. It's been around for a long time. I've seen other food more expensive. Hikari's fine. The second thing I'm going to talk about feeding is the people who want to feed their fish live food because they love to watch their Oscar fish eat and chase down live food. I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't feed your Oscar fish live food. I don't like when people say that's terrible, because let me tell you something. For all those people who say feeding Oscar fish live food is inhumane, what do you think they eat in the wild? Ain't nobody feeding them pellets in the Amazon River. They're eating fish in the Amazon River. Just saying. So it's totally natural that they're eating live food. The problem is that when you go to the LFS to get yourself live food, the LFS buys those goldfish or rosy reds from wholesalers, and the wholesalers buy them from farmers. Those farmers, they're breeding those fish for mass production. They don't care about the health of those fish. Those fish are not being fed foods that when the Oscar eats those fish, the Oscar is getting any type of nutritional value. And another thing is, you kind of spoil your fish when you feed them live food all the time to where they don't want to eat it. It'll make your fish sickly. Now, I'm not saying never feed your Oscar fish live foods. What I'm saying is, if you're going to do it, you want to be smart about it. You want to do it occasionally, first of all, as a treat, maybe once a week. And if you do it, go to the bait and tackle shop and get yourself some earthworm. Cheaper, easier to feed. It doesn't dirty up your water. If you feed them goldfish, all them little scales and stuff, it comes out the back end of your Oscar. It just fouls up your water. Earthworms are a lot cleaner. Way more nutritional value for your Oscar than goldfish. You're feeding them feeders from the pet store, you're taking a big risk on your wet pet. Trust me. Trust me. You enjoyed that. These are some other videos that I think you'd also like. If you like this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and subscribe. I appreciate it, and I thank you in advance.